Welcome to A Cow's Opinion. Today, the saga of Microsoft. It's like Lord of the Rings, only it's a lot less fun and visually stunning to watch. But it is still news, and we are covering it on A Cow's Opinion, where we give you a cow's opinion about what is happening. And obviously, I'm the cow. Hi. So today, we have new information that literally came out today. This show usually only has to deal with things like a day or two afterwards, but today, no. This is hot off the presses news, and that's right after I managed to squeeze in watching Nintendo Direct for 2/8/23. It was fantastic. Nintendo's going to get all my money and a lot of my channel this year. It's just going to happen. Because the UK regulators are suggesting that Activision Blizzard needs to break itself up for Microsoft to buy them. So, if you haven't been paying attention, and I don't know why, this is like the most amazing thing that's happening during gaming today. Activision Blizzard CEO Bobby Kotick, all-around jerkwad, went on TV and said that the UK would become Death Valley if it didn't approve the sale to Microsoft. And we now know why he was so mad, because the Competition and Markets Authority says in their provisional findings, this is not final, but this is what they're leaning towards, that because they think that the deal would threaten competition, they suggested to get it approved, Activision Blizzard would have to sell Call of Duty. Xbox and PlayStation compete closely with each other at present, and access to the most important content like Call of Duty is an important part of that competition. Reducing this competition between Microsoft and Sony could result in all gamers seeing higher prices, reduced range, lower quality, and worse service in gaming consoles over time. So the regulators did like a couple of studies, case events, what have you, and they are saying that from what they could tell, that it is commercially beneficial for Microsoft to make Activision Blizzard games exclusive, or it would at least make it worse for its competitors, which, yeah, there's a reason why Halo only comes out on Microsoft. There's a reason why Sony's first party stuff, like freaking Journey to the West, Horizon Zero Dawn, Journey to the West was the most recent game, only come out on Sony. It's exclusive stuff. So Microsoft has been telling us that they're not going to change the status of Call of Duty, has even been saying we'll sign to a 10-year agreement, as well as other concessions about letting it be on PlayStation Plus. But the CMA doesn't like those because they require monitoring and enforcement, which means we don't want to do any work to get this done, guys. So instead, they had 4 suggestions. Now, what you know for divestiture means sell. So sell the Call of Duty, sell the Activision segment, sell the Activision and the Blizzard segments, or prohibit the merger. Again, divestiture is a fancy word for sell-off, and they've said the current preference would be for Microsoft to only buy a piece of Activision Blizzard, like the Candy Crush or World of Warcraft part, but not the Call of Duty. I don't think Microsoft's going to go for that, because I don't think that they just want to buy 1 or 2 franchises. They want the whole company. So these are provisional findings, which means the CMA sets forth its concerns in writing, and both parties have a chance to respond, says Activision Blizzard spokesperson Joseph Christinat. Apologize if I got your name wrong. We hope now, and between now and April, we can help the CMA better understand our industry to ensure they can achieve their stated mandate to promote an environment where people can be confident they are getting great choices and fair deals, where competitive, fair-dealing business can innovate and thrive, and where the whole UK economy can grow productively and sustainably. Now, the EU and the FTC, which is the Federal Trade Commission here in America, have also been saying that they are concerned. And it doesn't help that Starfield, which is one of the most anticipated blockbusters from Bethesda, has been made an Xbox exclusive. But Microsoft, again, keeps saying, we're not going to take it off PlayStation 5. Doesn't make financial sense. But the CMA argues, we provisionally found this calculation on its own was broadly neutral in terms of profitability. that it doesn't make sense for Microsoft financially to take it off PlayStation 5. The other model considered data used by Xbox in the ordinary course of business on the lifetime value of new customers. This has the benefit of accounting for 5 years of spend on the Xbox platform and on Call of Duty. This model, which we believe is a better way to estimate long-term financial incentives, suggests that making Call of Duty exclusive to Xbox would be profitable to Microsoft. Now, all of these, calculations can easily be tweaked pro or against. So, these guys saying that it could be very easy to profitable for Microsoft has about as much weight as Microsoft saying it's not profitable at all for us to take Call of Duty off PlayStation. Obviously, the government bodies have the incentive to make it harder. Microsoft has the incentive to make it easier. But there has been a survey that 24% of players would move away from PlayStation if you couldn't have Call of Duty. Now, the CMA is still soliciting feedback, and Microsoft and Activision Blizzard both have until March 1st, which is literally 3 weeks away, to file the rebuttals, and a final report will be on April 26th. The companies may find other remedies, or they could just threaten to pull out the UK market, or they could just take them to court. There's a lot of ways. This is like a spy thriller, man. This whole thing's had twists and turns. The cow can't keep up with it. Now, Microsoft has been saying that they want the deal to close by end of June. I don't know whether or not the deal is going to happen yet, but I don't think that is going to be a date that they've made. As we prepare for the deal to close, you'll begin to see notifications or ask for information from your colleagues on the integration planning team, Kotick has told his staff. This is all part of normal integration process meant to prepare for business continuity on day one after the deal. Microsoft's Deputy General Counsel Rima has also released the following statement. We are committed to offering effective and easily enforceable solutions that address the CMA's concerns. Our commitment to grant long-term 100% equal access to Call of Duty to Sony, Nintendo, Steam, and others preserves the market's benefit to gamers and developers and increases competition in the market. 75% of respondents to the CMA's public consultation agree that this deal is good for competition in UK games. That's the thing. Players don't seem to mind this that much. Players see exclusives all the time. And as far as raising prices, Sony has actually been the guys to raise prices first, which I would argue is kind of a hole in their they'll just raise prices if there's lots of competition now and they still feel comfortable raising prices. It is interesting that the CMA and the respondents are so broadly changed. But I do want to point out against Microsoft, Nintendo's not really a competitor to what they do with Nintendo first parties, and Steam, Microsoft is a big platform on PCs, so putting their games on Steam is really not that bad for them. They like it a lot. But what I do also want to go over is what Bobby Kotick said. Because we're going over the concerns. Lots of different, of course, all the other tech companies are saying you can't allow this. Some of them are doing it because they have actual concerns about want somebody becoming too powerful, and others just don't want to see a competitor get a really big purchase. But Bobby Kotick, as I said, went on TV and defended the merger. He went on CNBC, and I didn't bother to watch because I think Kotick is a scumbag. But he moved on to the purchase, and he says, whether it's the FTC or the CMA or the EU, they don't know our industry, he says. I don't think they fully appreciate that it's a free-to-play business, that the Japanese and Chinese companies dominate the industry. You look at Sony, you look at Nintendo, they have these huge libraries of intellectual property. Sony has Sony Studios that goes back 80 years. Nintendo has the very best characters that exist in video games. He also goes on to talk about Chinese operations like Tencent, who have a very protected market, and how Activision struggles to enter the Japanese market as proof that the real competition isn't between America and Europe, but between them and Asian giants. Now, there's some truth and a lot of hyperbole according to all of this, but it's really, you got to take it from the source, which is Bobby Kotick has like $250 million reason for this merger to go through. He's not necessarily wrong. like there's they said that we could sit here and pick apart all these comments. There is tons and tons of ways to like for and against, but I do want to go over this quote that I did see, which is the Death Valley quote. Bobby Kotick said, if you look at the UK and think about the post-Brexit UK, it's probably the first country where you're seeing a recession, like the real severe consequences of a recession. If you're the UK and you have incredibly educated workforce, you have a lot of technical talent, places like Cambridge where the best AI and machine learning is, I would think you would want to embrace a transaction like this, where you're going to see job creation opportunity, and it isn't really at all whether it's Sony's or Microsoft's platform. It's really about the future of technology, and you know they've said now for the last year that would like to be the Silicon Valley of Europe or of the continent, and if deals like this can't get through, they're not going to be Silicon Valley, they'll be Death Valley. For those of you who don't know American geography, Death Valley is located in the southwest desert region. It is hot, dry, and deadly. Virtually no one lives there. It is a very, very, very... There's a reason it's called Death Valley. It's a hostile environment. So that's Bobby Kotick taking a shot at the CMA. So Acal's opinion on this is, I have no idea. Everyone's fighting. They're taking their shots, guys. They're taking their shots. We've covered so many different opinions, including that really dumb EU regulator who's like, I'm going to make sure that my games can always be on PlayStation. Well, that's a really dumb thing to say because that doesn't make you look neutral. That makes you look, I'm just pro Sony, guys. I'm not going to help the competitors get anything. And of course, he tried to back off and say, I'm not even in the department, but he has tons of like chats and meetings and everything with all those people, so of course he has influence. I'm pointing all this out and not saying yes or no to this because it's a massively complicated issue. I mean, I've watched Jesse Cox's 5-minute news opinions, and he's pretty anti it. I mean, to be fair, Jesse Cox is pro-union, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, because game developers are prone to things like crunch and broken promises, so union discussions are pretty good. But Jesse just doesn't want to see any mergers at all, and that's fine. That's his opinion. It's an opinionated show. He's allowed to do that when he's doing this new stuff. I don't know if this is overall good or overall bad. You just don't have enough information. I think that Microsoft may be hiding the ball a little. I think Sony is definitely motivated to hide the ball. I mean, again, I like to keep going back to the fact that they blamed everything and said, well, Microsoft will start raising prices, but the first people to raise first-party game titles another $10 was Sony, and the market didn't have too big of a fit, so we won't keep seeing this, you guys. It's just the way it is. I mean, look, play independent stuff on Steam. I try to play lots of smaller games on Steam because it's cool. And also to let you know that, hey, for $20 or $30, you can still get a great game. It doesn't have photorealism, but honestly, photorealism is not a requirement in a great game anymore. Have you ever played Mario? Let me know in the comments below what you think about this, because this is your channel and your show too. And play more games. Games are awesome, and you deserve awesome. I'll see you next time. Go watch that Nintendo Direct too. It's awesome.